I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, Gary versus Jeremy edition. Jeremy's winning. That's a fact. Go back and listen to the old episodes. Jeremy is winning on this. We're back. We took a quick MCU break, but now we are back on our AVX bullshit. Gary, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Doing good. Looking forward to talking about this fight from this angle and this angle. It's a, you know, in the Simpsons where Milhouse turns into Fallout Boy.
Yes.
Radioactive Man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, but we did the line. It's done. And then the director is like, we have to shoot it again from this angle and this angle and again and again and again and again. That's what the AVX crossover has been like so far.
And
I joked about it a couple episodes. We don't get out of that fight.
No, for at least another 4 issues. And we talked about this. This is somewhat our own doing because we were like, let's read every single issue of the crossover so we can get exposed to like some characters that we would normally talk about on Days of Future Cast, and that happens in this issue. Like, there's a bunch of stuff about Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I think that's this one. Hopefully, I'm not mixing that up.
And their weirdo little baby.
And their weird baby who nobody uses the name of. What is the baby's name? Like, use your baby's name.
No, they don't use the baby's name at all, and they didn't in Secret Invasion, which was like 10 years before this.
Oh my god.
I remember reading that.
But yeah, like,
I mean, not 10 years.
But at the same time, like, the actual crossover stuff is like, oh, so we're just on that beach again, huh? We're just okay. I feel like I'm playing a fucking Metal Gear Solid game or like a Kojima game over here for as much plot is happening versus how much it's going forward. So
it is the slowest paced comic event that I've ever read.
Yeah.
So far, easily. And I've never done the thing where I just read all of the tie-ins for things. I usually pick and choose.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that in like the comic podcast I listen to called House to Astonish, they complained about for years. And I was always, just don't do it.
Yeah, just don't do it, man.
Yeah. And then so when I was kind of laughing when you were like, no, this is kind of our fault. I was like, whose else fault would it be, man? It's like 1000% our fault. This is definitely us doing this to ourselves. And it's not like, it sounds like I'm complaining a lot. It is frustrating how slow the pace is. I like all the issues that we're talking about for the next 4 issues. Like, I thought all of them were fun and had stuff that was worth reading. Like, I enjoyed it. It's just in a weird position where I'm really glad I'm not paying for it, or going in week to week in the comic store and getting this tiny little drip of additional plot. Like, oh, here, $4 for just this fight scene from a different angle. That would have pissed me off.
I am glad that that we are kind of technically, well, you specifically, but me kind of technically are being paid to do this, because otherwise I'd be like, you know what? I'm like 8 issues deep. I'm just going AVX number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to see the end of this. Like, I'm not fucking around anymore. I'm going to get done with this.
It goes up through 12.
Yeah,
like AVX is intense.
We're gonna be here for a while, folks. Buckle in.
And you're getting paid for this. We don't imply to people that we don't give money to you guys. You take money, yeah?
I do take money, yeah. I just
okay, good.
Yeah.
You gotta give. I just wanted to make sure, because
I was being weird because, like, this is your job and it's not my job, though I do get paid for it. So I was being weirdly, like, I was walking around that bush for some reason. I don't know why. So.
No, you're fine. I just don't. I don't want people, like, eventually we're gonna get yelled at for just like, oh, the only Gary and Cole get paid. What about everybody else? It's like, no, people just get paid according to downloads. We're figuring it out.
Well, it's downloads and it's basically, it's really split between me, you, and Cole, and then it's downloads for everybody else, which is something that I have in my contract since the very beginning, since that first Dark Souls, since that first PvP episode of Bonfireside Chat. It was with the contract I made you sign.
You negotiated early and often, and it's really helped you out quite a bit.
Just wait, we got about 4 years left on that, and I'm going to Chris Evans your ass from Captain America 5, and we're going to see what happens, buddy.
We're going to introduce old Jeremy.
Yeah, then you're going to introduce Black Jeremy.
There's a Black Stormy? So this is New Avengers, written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Mike Deodato here. And this is a flashback issue. This is all character work. basically, about one of his pet characters, Luke Cage. He did a bunch of stuff with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones that is generally really good. Like, I like Alias a lot.
I do too.
In The Pulse. And I think that Brian Bendis writes a pretty good Luke Cage, actually. So this is their setup and their kind of emotional stakes going into this.
Autumn made fun of me one time because my sister was visiting us, and she's like, hey, I haven't really read a comic book in a long time, and I feel like I have insomnia, so like, would you recommend a comic book for me? And I'm like, I've got the perfect thing. And I went and got my hardback edition of Alias, which is basically like a thesaurus. and just handed it to her, and I'm like, go crazy. And my wife was like, what the fuck are you doing, Jeremy? Like, give her Astonishing X-Men, Jesus Christ. Like, she's not going to read that whole thing.
Do you want to read this 24 issue volume about gaslighting and abuse?
Yeah, seriously. You thought you had insomnia before. Just wait.
Yeah. Like, how do you feel about mental sexual assault?
Super good.
Sleep?
Super good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we start off. We have like a pretty. Do you have any experience with Mike Deodato?
I don't think so.
The artist here?
It doesn't, and his style doesn't really seem unique to me. In fact, there's several panels on this that I kind of don't like at all. Specifically, the way that he draws Jessica Jones / Alias. Just looks really bland to me comparatively to what I'm used to. So it's all very workmanlike, like Marvel house style type stuff to me. But I don't unless there's something else that I've missed from him that I don't know is him.
He's just when I was reading comics, he did a lot of stuff. He was like brought in for a lot of fill-in arcs and stuff. So I've seen him a lot, and he's got this like very sketchy style that lends itself to really heavy inking. It feels like. A lot of characters end up with their face in more shadow than you might expect.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's him or the inker, but it is very strange to see. I've always felt a little bit, lukewarm on him as well.
See what you did there, the lukewarm.
Hey,
nice.
I feel a little Luke Cage on him.
Yeah.
So we start off on the helicarrier moments before the assault on the beach. Yeah, that we've seen. Spider-Man and Mockingbird are bantering about things while the rest of the Avengers are watching Cyclops and Captain America face off.
Yep. And of course, we get to our famous Avengers Assemble, and when the Avengers are going to go down, and for whatever reason, Red Hulk is our tactics man here, where he starts telling people to fight smart, fight the fights you can win, don't pick up fight beyond your power grade. And I'm like, well, I mean, you don't have to be insulting. Like, their power grades aren't necessarily like, they're not lines in the sand.
It was written
Red
in
Hulk.
stone. Yeah. Like Red Hulk, do you have my trading card? Is that what this is about?
Yeah. Look, I know it says physicality 7, but I've been training. I'm up to a 7.5. All right.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about Mockingbird fighting Doctor Strange. Like, we know.
Yeah.
Daredevil is not going to take on the thing in this. Like, we get you. I cannot get over my dislike of Red Hulk. If I grow to tolerate the Red Hulk by the end of this entire crossover, that'll be a huge triumph. Because I just think this guy fucking sucks.
Oh, I forgot to. We just recorded about Black Widow, and I forgot to bring that up. That there was some speculation that dude they're going to bring Red Hulk in because General Ross was all sick at the beginning of that movie, and I could not be less enthusiastic about that.
No, for your Dark Avengers or whatever, you need a Hulk like presence, but do something else.
Well, we've got Abomination. Abomination shows up in that Shang-Chi trailer. So
yeah. Just bring Abomination into it.
So they jump off the helicarrier, then we immediately go to 24 hours previous, where Victoria Hand is kind of leading the Avengers at breakfast, basically saying like, all right, we need to figure out what we're going to do about all of these protesters that are outside. So this is the Avengers that are right after the Dark Avengers arc, where Norman Osborn kind of like made everybody think that they're assholes. Let's just say that. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing that Brian Bendis gets a lot of criticism for. The Avengers sitting around having breakfast and just chatting. I think this can be done well. Yeah. I don't hate this as much as a lot of people do. And I think this scene is kind of fun. Like, everyone's kind of learning about each other. Wolverine have recently joined, so everyone's kind of surprised that he's running a school. This is, after the Schism event. Speaking of which, I started rereading, I started reading the Hope Comes Back to, Our Time arc that leads into Schism, to give me additional context on this and to have something to read.
Okay.
So I've read Schism, but I wanted to refresh my memory because during this, Wolverine is just constantly like, yeah, Cyclops is a fucking psychopath. And I was like,
well, why is he a psychopath?
Like Wolverine. Yeah. We have this thing where Iron Fist is going to go out there and talk to the protesters as like a man of the people, and Captain America is going to come down and give everybody a briefing.
I love that everybody makes fun of Iron Fist for doing this because he's like, I'm a man, I know these people, and like, you're a billionaire, and he's like, I'm a billionaire who, oh wait, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime we're making fun of Iron Fist, I'm here for it.
Yeah, if this had happened in 2020, that scene would have ended with the Thing breaking his neck for class war reasons.
Exactly.
Like, this one's from Yancey Street, and just like broke his fucking head off for being a billionaire. Yeah, and Iron Man are probably,
Oh yeah, guillotine, dog.
Yeah.
Guillotine in front of the fucking Stone.
Avengers class war, man. Avengers class war. I would read that.
Marvel
book.
Ain't brave enough now, dude. I think you could have done that, but that just ain't. The rich versus the poor superheroes would be a really interesting thing. I don't know that you can.
That'd be awesome.
You can do it in the Disney era.
I don't know why Cyclops doesn't bring it up. Like,
seriously,
we had to build his own island ourselves, man. Like there's an issue we're talking about next time, which is just about how much money Tony Stark spends on these fights, and it's enough to like give water to everyone in the world.
I know.
Every single time he fires a bunch of little lasers. It's very 2012 that we're not thinking about that. When Iron Fist goes outside, he's surprised to see Luke Cage. Luke Cage has been missing. They didn't see where he's at, and Luke Cage is talking to reporters. And there's a live feed. And he's reaching out to his wife. Like, he's like, hey, Jessica, if you're watching this, everything's okay now. We ousted Norman Osborn.
Yeah.
Like, come home, Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm right here. I'm exactly who I say I am. This is Norman Osborn was lying. And he further goes on a rant at like to the protesters. And hey, I don't have anything against you. Like, we should all go home and fix our own house. I should go home and fix my house. You should go home and fix your house. We're all handymen here, okay? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm starting a handyman business. Do you need your house fixed?
Yeah. Handyman for hire. Heroes for Hire wasn't working out.
It wasn't really working out.
I like this little bit. These protests, which we saw, somebody mentioned in the Slack last time, we couldn't figure out who was calling out the Avengers with the glowing eyes. That was Wonder Man. Actually, it's just the art. I couldn't see that it was Wonder Man.
Oh, word. Okay.
But, the Avenger, there is this kind of schism in the Avengers, and public opinion against the Avengers has never been worse. There's actually, in something we're talking about next week, there's an awesome moment with that. The end of that X-Men comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the PR thing. That thing's super cool. But he's basically saying, like, we're all just trying to fix shit. And he's interrupted by Jessica Jones walking up
with Squirrel Girl, who I barely recognized as Squirrel Girl at first.
Yeah, how are you going to draw a Squirrel Girl with these thin hips,
dude? And Jessica Jones is the same way. Like, having come from Alias, where she looks like I don't want to. This is going to sound like I don't want to say like an average woman, but like a woman with. I don't even know how to say this nowadays, but like a woman that doesn't look like she belongs in a comic book, where she looks like a realistic womanly figure.
Yeah, realistically proportioned woman.
Exactly. And like I saw this and I was like, oh, okay, so she had a baby and then she turned into a supermodel.
She had a baby and she turned into Liv Tyler from the 90s Aerosmith videos.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it's and so did Squirrel Girl.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a weird mouth and stuff. Squirrel Girl is not strictly human by any means. But, she shows up, Luke Cage gets on his knees, he's so excited, making sure she's okay. The baby's okay. And they just leave the protesters behind and head inside to deal with their family drama.
Yeah.
Here, with the unnamed baby.
The baby with no name. Very Jim Morrison-esque of Luke Cage and Jessica Jones right here.
Squirrel Girl fans, her line in this is Jessica Jones saying, Doreen, why don't you go say hi and get something to eat? And her line is, yes, ma'am.
Yep.
So fans of Squirrel Girl's super fun dialogue and personality will like this issue where she says, yes, ma'am, and then leaves.
Classic Squirrel Girl zingers right there.
Yeah. Was this before or after this was kind of before the real Squirrel Girl renaissance?
I think so. Yeah, it had to be.
Where like everybody loves her. Like this was, I think, when she was still like a little bit of a joke, so maybe it isn't quite as weird.
This is before she defeats Thanos or whatever. Like she goes into does all of
Dr.
his
Doom.
Yeah. And then this is a pretty serious conversation between Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, who are a married couple, and they're both like quote unquote superheroes, although Jessica Jones has never really been like the typical cape. And, you know, very much contrasted with Luke Cage doing the heroes for hire thing. And they are both technically Avengers. And Jessica is saying like, hey, like we can't live here. Like, I can't bring a baby up in the Avengers mansion. This is a place that attracts a bunch of supervillains who want to blow us up and kill us, and that will use our baby. And again, I'm not saying baby too many times. This is the number of times they say the baby. Like, I feel like I'm in the fucking Mandalorian. Like, I want to see the baby.
Maybe they haven't named it yet. Maybe they're waiting for the right character to die to name it after.
Maybe so. At the end of this, that's the end of AVX. They're going to name this child Hope. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, they're going to name the child Professor X.
Imagine if Luke Cage just had a child named Cyclops.
Like what? This is I think this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
This is what, you know, Bendis became famous for, is this kind of shit. And this is pretty good dialogue. Like, you know, I love, you know, her being like, nothing's more important than the baby, and he's like, I know, and she's like, I know that you think that you know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and that's a real, you know, harsh truth kind of thing to say.
Absolutely.
To somebody. You know, and her argument is basically like, you know, this place is not safe. Like, that's ridiculous. And you care way more about being an Avenger. You know, we can't raise a baby in a place with Wolverine in it. You know, that's not okay.
I mean, like, that's a line in the sand. That's a hard no for me. Like, I'm not raising my baby where there's a Wolverine around. Like, period.
No Wolverines. Yeah, no Wolverines in the nursery. You know,
I don't want you to talk to Karen at work, and I don't want you to bring a Wolverine home. Those are the two rules that I
have. She's laying down the law here, basically, like, you know, the baby can't live here. I can't live without the baby. You can't live without me or the baby. Like, come with us. You know, leave the Avengers, retire for a little bit, you know, go have a life. You know, and he's pushing back, like, you know, other people could have careers and a family, and she doesn't. You know, Jessica Jones is a great character. Like, I don't like the way she's drawn in this, but I've always liked that character a lot. And she's like, yeah, but we aren't other people, though. Like, she's not convinced by any of his shitty arguments.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
During this, which I really like.
Yeah, his argument that, like, you know, hey, people can die just crossing the street, like, everybody's at risk, and she's like, yeah, but, like, I mean, we have various colored Hulks running around. Like, which one do you think it will be? I mean, like, it's a ridiculous argument to make, like, oh, everybody's at risk. We're like at the epicenter for risk in New York City at this point.
We've only got two colors of Hulk, and there's an entire rainbow of Hulks.
I just love this panel where, you know, they're having this conversation where, you know, he's like, this isn't fair. This is what we signed up for. And she's like, yeah, but we were kidding ourselves. And out the window is just Iron Man, like flying by. Yeah. Like, it's just it underscores her point in such a silent way of like, all of this shit that are these lives that we're leading are absolutely crazy. Like, none of this existed, you know, when we signed up to this. Like, we were freaking out. And he kind of blames her for running away. And she's like, I just freaked out. Like, I had to, the most important thing in my life is this child, is this baby, is the baby. And, you know, I had to run away. And of course, this whole thing is interrupted by Iron Fist rolling up and being like, hey, mom, dad, don't fight. Captain America called a meeting. Uncle Cap called a meeting. And it's really important.
Yep. And then we go downstairs, we get all the Avengers. And this is, you know, every once in a while they do these things where they just have every single Avenger that's ever been in one room. These are fun scenes.
Imagine the creaks. Like, imagine just like, you know, that sound of a room that's quiet before like a big event and people are just shuffling around, but like everyone is dressed in a superhero outfit. It's just like the absolute clothing noises that would be happening in that room.
The thing I just kept thinking about was the smell, because I'm puerile. And, you know, what do you think the Thing smells like? You know, probably not great. Red Hulk doesn't smell good.
I don't know. Like, out of everybody, the Thing, like, just because he's just a rock, and like rocks carry little scent. Like, I feel like he could just he's the one that could just spray off. Like, he could power wash himself every morning, and then he's done.
Yeah. Well, they released that Power Wash the Thing simulator game. So
I saw Cole streaming that the other day. Yeah, I almost signed on for that.
Yeah, just power washing Ben Grimm's Grungus, you know, just getting his bridge all clean, you know.
Shower with my Thing.
Yeah. Shower with my Thing simulator 2021. It's lathering time.
Slathering time. Jesus Christ.
What Cap is here to tell everybody, first he's like, hey, this is a big secret. Don't tell anybody about this. Do you guys know what the Phoenix Force is, though? Storm just leaves. He's like, oh shit, I'm out. And I love all the bad wife stuff between Storm and T'Challa as well. I didn't really do the Black Panther Storm married time in comics. I didn't read any of that stuff.
Me either.
And it's very funny to be like put in the middle of it, and they just constantly fight and have a marriage counselor and shit.
It's very weird to me. Like, where was the romance? Like, where was the courtship? Like, I need to see some of that.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that at all. Yeah, just like it went immediately into couples counseling. He basically lays out the plot. Like, the Phoenix Force is coming for this girl named Hope. She's on Utopia. The Phoenix Force is this cosmic force of destruction, lays waste to everything in its path. It's no good.
Yep. And he says, we're going to go get this child. Like, we're going to get this person. We're going to get her off planet. And people are chiming up like, hey, Cyclops isn't going to like that. And I actually appreciate that Ben Grimm chimes up like, I don't really think that I like that. Like, it's like, as far as Avengers stuff goes, like, maybe that's not what I signed up for. Like, you're going to talk about going to kidnap a girl and run her off planet. Like, we only do that to Hulks. Like, that was a whole different thing.
Yeah. We got a Hulk, perfectly good Hulk to put off planet right here. And Cap is his counter argument is like, there are mutants that think the Phoenix is like good fortune, is a messiah, but I'm not willing to take that chance. And the Avengers are warning him like, hey, the X-Men aren't going to like this. That's not going to go well. Wolverine's like, it's definitely not going to go well. That guy's a fucking psychopath and I hate him. Just flash forward. I love, like, one of the things that was irritating to me about reading all the schism stuff is just thinking about flash forwarding to where they fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And there probably is connective tissue there that I haven't read, where they repair that relationship, but it feels very whiplashy to me, to where, like, for this Wolverine to eventually just get to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I love watching Scott Summers in a Speedo. I love just going to town on his balls. Like, it's my favorite thing to do in the world. It just feels very weird to justify with this Wolverine. I'm not saying that because I don't want Wolverine to be bi or whatever. It's just because it never sat right with me with their relationship.
Yeah.
People who have known each other and worked together that long.
It never fit into your interpretation of the characters based on all of the stuff that you've been reading for 30 something years. So like, you're like,
my entire life.
Yeah. It'd be kind of like dropping in at the end of it, fucking Twin Peaks and going like, wait a minute, what's happening?
Yeah. It feels a little bit like that. Yeah. Like, I'm curious, I might continue with this arc and see if I can find that connective tissue, but the spot checking, I have not found it. Cap defers to Red Hulk for strategy.
Hate it.
Which I hate. I know he's a general, but fuck this guy.
Well, if he's a general, go generalize yourself a fucking shirt on, Hulk. Like, I'm just like, if you're gonna be strat guy, like, dress for the fucking role. Like, Hulk is fine when he's just in pants with no shoes or anything. When he's being the Hulk, you can form sentences and you have strategy. So I expect you to wear a fucking shirt to the meetings.
You can go to the big and tall shop, my man. Giant Man is wearing clothes.
Yeah, call Reed Richards and get him to unstable molecule you a fucking tank top. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Have PIM particles at the wazoo, dude. You gotta stop this. It is a choice, and that fucking sucks. Like, even Luke Cage wears a shirt, and he wears the tightest t-shirt they make.
Yes.
And it's just a courtesy. Like, I understand that's like, drinking a 40 and putting a paper bag around it. That's what Luke Cage wearing a shirt is like.
Yeah.
It's just the illusion that hides us, gives us a polite declination of the truth. Red Hulk won't even give us that.
No.
Yeah. It's also like, I find it like, does the Red Hulk shave his back? Like, when you become a Hulk, do you just lose all body hair?
Dude, I have no idea. Yeah, I don't want to body hair shame anybody, but like the irradiated body hair is not something that I want in my fucking like situation room in my mansion.
Yeah. If I were Cap, like this would be, we'd all be in plain clothes if I were Cap. Like, this shit's silly, man. You guys all everybody take a page from Luke Cage. Just wear a fucking t-shirt.
Yeah, like, who's hanging out at the mansion like fully clothed? Like, just go up there in some jeans and like a shirt, like a normal person, and then go hit the lockers when I say Avengers Assemble.
You live here, right?
Yeah.
So basically, Red Hulk is saying like, hey, this will be we're gonna have to fight friends, people who we like, but this will be the end of all things if we fuck up. Like, the Phoenix is serious. Captain America says, you can go or you can not go. it's up to you. I'm not going to make anybody. And here's where Luke Cage makes his choice to kiss Baby goodbye. She presents Baby for him to say goodbye to, and he goes off and be an Avenger.
Yep.
In order to punch, I have to punch Colossus more than I have to raise my child.
Yes. So the last page of this is a bunch of Avengers jumping out on a lone Cyclops, which looks like a lot of fun.
Oh shit!
And
everybody dogpile Scott.
Specifically, Luke Cage like jumping in with fist cocked. And yeah,
yes.
So that's New Avengers number 24. And again, like we keep talking about, we're still in this battle of the beach, and we're just seeing it from different angles. I actually very much enjoyed this issue. I'm not like a hater on Brian Bendis when he's doing the casual superhero thing. I'm still at the point where I really kind of dig that to a degree. So like having the casual conversations of Spider-Man being like, you run a school? Like, you're Wolverine. I've teamed up with you before. Like, you're scary. Like,
yeah, that's fucked up. You fought a dude named Cyber. It's fucked up.
But yeah, like I like all this stuff. So having this little brief window into two characters that I really like, which are Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Not enough to finish either one of their series on Netflix, but it was very cool. And I don't really mind that we don't get a lot of forward progression on the main story.
Yeah, like as I mentioned before, this would bother me a lot if I was like waiting a week, going and getting new comics and nothing happened. Marvel Unlimited, we again support your local comic shop. Nobody yell at us. This app has fit into my life really, really well, and has turned out to be like a tremendous value for me. And being able to go and revisit these things in completion and just read stuff I wouldn't buy, but I like worth reading, but not worth buying, is where like 90% of tie-ins to a crossover land. And I'm happy to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And this one included. Like, I'll take this background information on these characters I like.
When I was a teenager, I would go to Barnes & Noble and I would read the magazines, all the gaming magazines, and then I would put them back on the shelf, and then I would leave Barnes & Noble. All right, back then, actually, it was like not Borden's. It was not Borders. Maybe a Borders. Whatever it was basically a Barnes & Noble. But put it back on the shelf, exit the building, go home, and read fantasy novels. Like I don't think that there's stuff wrong with just like casually reading something that you don't necessarily. I mean, we're paying for this. We both pay a subscription for the app, so
yeah. If we'll be back next time with the actual main event, Avengers vs. X-Men round 2. Still not out of the fight. If you like this show, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and throw us a couple buckaroons. We'd appreciate that. Yeah.
And also real dollars while you're there. I mean, Patreon has their own buckaroons currency, which, I mean...
Yeah, don't just give us itchy and scratchy bucks. I understand they're more fun than regular dollars, but we want to be able to spend them. I need to buy that 3-foot-tall Galactus.
Yes, and they do not take buckaroons at the Galactus store.
No, I need G-bucks or better.
Yeah, if you don't want to do that, you can leave ratings and reviews on iTunes and other podcasting services. We'd really appreciate that. Most importantly, just tell your friends. Spread the news of the podcast. Let them know that we're out here doing the thing and that you think that they would enjoy it. And we'll be back with AVX Round 2.